And how much cash has all those big ticket sales brought in? Amazingly, Brighton has only received a fraction of the transfer cash made during the year, with the club still owed a substantial million at year end.
It's not done yet, no?
After wrapping up their first European adventure and looking set for mid-table, let's delve back into the financial journey of Brighton Hove Albion. Just joining us on the Seagulls money trail? Make sure you catch up on our inaugural video where we covered Brighton's climb from the Championship to the top half of the Premier League. This time, let's zoom in on the financial highlights of the 2023 season. On the pitch, Roberto de Zerbi led Brighton to their highest ever 6th place finish, securing a spot in the Europa League. But what about off the pitch? What unfolded behind the scenes? Brighton witnessed another significant leap in revenues, soaring by 17% to reach £205 million. What fueled this result? Let's break it down by revenue stream. Kicking off with matchday revenues, which climbed 20% to nearly £25 million. Looking at average attendance, we see an uptick with the Seagulls breaking 31,000, but we're also helped by their run to the FA Cup semi-final, including a trip to Wembley. Broadcasting revenues fueled the overall growth, reaching £155 million, nearly £30 million higher than the previous year, driven by Brighton's enhanced league position and an increase in televised matches. Notably, Kaoru Mitoma's emergence led to Brighton matches being the most watched among any team in Japan during the second half of the season. Next, commercial revenues also experienced growth, reaching £18 million, a 17% increase from the previous year. However, other income saw a decline, primarily due to the absence of revenue from the Monks Farm development project in 2023. Nonetheless, income from FIFA for Brighton's 8 players participating in the World Cup, including Alexis McAllister, partially offset this decline. In terms of league position, the top line result for 2023 reinforces the correlation between Premier League standing and revenue. And on average, this year's result brings Brighton's Premier League revenue to £158 million.
It's been a real joy.
So what about the bottom line? Hold on tight, because we're about to take off. Brighton achieved an astounding £131 million profit in 2023, one of the highest returns on record. In terms of league position, this year clearly stands out from the rest, and brings Brighton's average Premier League profit into the black at £5 million. So what is going on? We'll be back to profit in just a sec, but if you're enjoying what we do here at Numbers Behind the Net, you'd be helping us out massively if you click that subscribe button, and you'll stay up to date with all our latest videos. Cheers for all your support, and now back to the P&L. Let's tackle this with our P&L walkthrough. Let's set the timer, grey out the revenue, and dive into staff costs. Wages increased by 11% to £128 million. While Brighton welcomed new players, these were likely offset by the departure of some high-profile stars. More on that later. But as a percentage of revenue, these accounted for just 62%, marking the 4th consecutive year this percentage has come down. How did these wages translate to on-pitch performance? Brighton's 62 points came at just over £2 million apiece, their most efficient performance since their debut season in the Prem. Following staff costs alone, Brighton's return on investment is beginning to materialise. Now let's turn to operating costs. In 2023, net costs decreased to £27.5 million, although 2 opposing factors influenced this change. Underlying costs actually rose to £52 million, driven by Brighton's FA Cup run and overall inflation. However, Brighton also received £23 million in compensation from the departures of Graham Potter and his team, along with head of recruitment Paul Winstanley to Chelsea. This one-off event propelled Brighton to their best EBITDA of the decade. Third, stadium and facilities, expenses related to long-term assets such as the Amex. These reduced slightly, but remain largely consistent with the year before. Which brings us to transfer fees. Here's what truly fueled Brighton's remarkable profit performance. The club generated a staggering £89 million net profit in transfer fees, primarily from the sales of Marc Cucurella, Yves Bissouma, Leandro Trossard and Alexis McAllister. Brighton's player development and trading strategy now appears to be paying dividends, and with it ensuring compliance with profit and sustainability rules. Next year could see a continuation of this trend, especially after the sales of Robert Sanchez and Moises Caicedo for a record transfer fee. But one thing to consider, as Premier League rules shift to a year-by-year squad cost ratio in the 25-26 season, Brighton only have until the end of next year to utilise any of these major profits made if Brighton want to capitalise on current PSR regulations. This could lead to an exciting summer at the Amex if Tony Bloom decides to make bold moves once more.
We absolutely just want to aim to be as high as we can and see where that takes us.
Now let's see if cash paints a similar picture. As usual, we're focusing on cash from operations and transfer fees. Cash from operations, influenced by EBITDA line items, saw 36 million flow into the Amex, driven by those additional revenues. And how much cash has all those big ticket sales brought in? Amazingly, Brighton has only received 7 million in net transfer cash during the year, with the club still owed a substantial 137 million at year end.
It's not done yet, no?
The Seagulls themselves owe just under 50 million to other clubs, leaving a net 87 million yet to come into Brighton's bank account. Combining these figures, and Brighton boasts its healthiest cash position to date, bringing 42.5 million. The returns of Brighton's strategy are starting to take shape. So has money needed to be injected into the club? Interestingly, as Brighton generated cash for the first time in their Premier League journey, Tony Bloom was in fact repaid 33 million of loans, bringing his total cash contribution down to 463 million. With European football now in the rearview mirror, at least for next season, will Brighton support De Zerbi and co to pursue top half finishes once more? Only time will tell.